like to call this meeting to order today, November 15th at 1:30 p.m. Opening statement.
Opening statement. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on November 8, 2018, by the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News, Asbury Park Press, and Star Ledger for information and publication on November 8, 2018, by the filing of a copy of said former notice in the Township Clerk's office on November 8, 2018. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call. Mrs. O'Donnell?
Here.
Mrs. Smith will join us later during the meeting via phone. Mr. Walsh, excused absence. Mr. Nicastro?
Here.
Mayor Berger?
Present. Is there any reason to go into executive session today?
Yes, Mayor, we have attorney-client privilege and pending litigation matters.
Okay.
Read the resolution, Mayor.
Yes, please.
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the items previously listed and will reconvene the public meeting. The presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and circumstance under which a discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
All right, so Mayor, we are ready, and we have Pauline with us.
Okay, I would like to reopen the regular meeting at 2:20. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then a moment of silence for our Councilman Bob Walsh and for our officers and people in the service. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
No.
Okay. I'm going to be changing around the agenda a little bit. I need to leave by 2:30. So we're going to go down to the ordinances first.
Resolution.
It's under the ordinance, no? It's
Lo-
the resolution?
Right,
Amends-
lose finance resolutions.
Where is it, though?
Lou, can you tell us what number resolutions we'll be discussing first?
Forgive me.
983.
No, it's right, it's not the ordinance, Mayor, it's resolutions.
You're right.
It is 9A1, which is a Chapter 159 resolution. Scrolling down here.
And is it 31?
Yes, 31 and 32 as well.
At this time, does anyone have any discussion for 9A1, 9A31, and 9A32? I see no discussion. Can we have a vote, please?
I'd like to make
A motion.
for 9A1, 9A31, and 9A32, please.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Okay, now I would like to open up for any resolutions. Barbara Dixell?
Barbara Dixell, 628 Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey. I'm speaking for myself, not representing anybody. My questions are, why was there no agenda printed until 5 p.m. last night, Wednesday, November 15th, when the notice was put on the front page of the township website over a week ago?
Brian?
There was a special meeting that we had to schedule to get certain resolutions passed. As of early yesterday, the agenda was still being compiled by the clerk. As soon as she was able to complete that, it was posted.
5 p.m. is a little late for this afternoon. Second question. Was the reason that this meeting was changed from Tuesday, November 20th, to Thursday, November 15th, at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, an effort to try to push through resolutions 9A34, 9A35, 9A36, 9A37, Howell Family Apartments, that have all now been removed from the agenda and will not be voted on today? Got an answer, anybody?
Brian? Joe?
I'll answer that. They were removed from the agenda because they're still in the process of being negotiated. They're not finalized, and so there's nothing to vote on yet. There's going to be a special meeting held probably within the next week or two. We anticipate having them finalized. It'll be posted and available to the public.
So that the public can attend?
Absolutely.
Because this looks like a rush job and a whodunit.
No, I can tell you our meeting was originally scheduled for November 20th, and there were some internal scheduling conflicts, and as a result, we moved the meeting up to today. Unfortunately, though, we don't have those developers' agreements finalized, and we can't therefore vote on them.
Correct. And also, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, people are working, so there's nobody here, you can get through whatever you want, screw the public.
Mrs. Dixell, we have a planning board meeting tonight, so that was another reason why we couldn't hold it this evening. So, again, internal conflicts.
And now my third question is, and what about the solid waste transfer station on Randolph Road in Ramtown that never came to the council for a vote, that came from the manager's office on behalf of the governing body? Anyone got an answer on that? That was March and May of 2017. I have the papers at home. I've got all the township papers and all the documents. Anybody got an answer?
Well, I'd like the professionals to answer, but I'll say that there will be no vote from the council.
Well, that was already approved by the manager's
Are you
office on behalf of...
talking about the transfer station?
Yeah, the solid waste transfer station. The governing body has no objection to the project, period. Manager's office on behalf of the governing body.
I have an objection, and I've stated that objection.
I know you did.
And I had
know
an
you-
objection to the incorrect information in the paper, and I've tried to put that information out there. and
Guess
it's-
what? I have the letters from the township.
I know that, Barb. You and I have had
Mayor-
several conversations on this.
Mayor, just to add, we actually wrote letters to the county formally objecting to the project after the time Mrs.
I have
Dixell was
that
talking
also.
about. So we did put it in writing to the county that we were objecting to that.
Right,
At
and I
your
have
direction.
that 4-page letter also.
There was never a vote, Barbara,
I know.
from
But
this
it came-
council
It came from
to say that we wanted this transfer station.
manager.
So that is an inaccurate statement. There was not a vote.
There was no vote from the council. It came from the manager's office on behalf of the council.
No,
Council has no objection to the project.
no. Again, that's not correct.
Well, I have letters that say something.
And I told you that that was an incorrect letter.
No,
It'll take 20 minutes to go through it, but I'll be glad to do it again with you.
something with Howell Township's official stationery. Okay, and another question to Mr. Nicastro. Your house was sold in Freehold Township. Your house in Freehold, Howell Township was sold in October of 2018. Do you still live in Howell, since it was reported that you do not live in Freehold Township?
I live in Howell.
Because that's not what the address was printed. Okay, anyway, like I said before, my question is, what is going on in this town? That's my question. Let people think for themselves. What's going on here?
Pamela Richmond? I'm sorry? Okay. Is there any other questions from the audience? There being none, I'll close this portion of the meeting.
We need a motion 982.
I would take 9A.
Deputy Mayor, I just want to interject one thing. We actually have an
Sorry, Jim.
error on the agenda. 9A24 needs to be removed. It was an accidental duplication. So when you make your motion, please
Delete
do
24.
not include 9A24.
And then I would also say, what about 40? We have to leave that till the next meeting.
Correct. So 9A2 through 9A19? No, 9A23, 9A25 through 9A39, with the exceptions of
Removing
what was
9A40.
removed of 31 and 32 already voted on.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Okay. Would one of you read 11.1?
Oh, can I make just a announcement on the next item on the agenda, which is public hearing on ordinances O-18-35, 10.1. This ordinance amend Chapter 188 Land Use, allow health club facilities and fitness centers as a permitted use in the SED zone. This will now move forward to the next meeting, public hearing and adoption on December 11, 2018. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And then we have just ordinance 18-36.
Correct.
Is it in here to read?
I have the council member portion.
Okay.
Yes. A motion on 1811, the ordinance, and the introduction and the passage of the first reading of an ordinance. Motion to introduce ordinance number 1836 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the November 20th, 2018 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on December 1st, 2018, 7:30 p.m. prevailing time at the Municipal Building.
Second.
Title of ordinance, an ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Howell. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. For informational purposes, the municipal offices will be closed on Thursday, November 22nd, and Friday, November 23rd, in observance of Thanksgiving. Christmas tree and menorah lighting ceremony is on Tuesday, December 4th, here at the municipal building between 6 and 8. Our next meeting date would be Tuesday, December 11, 6:30 for executive and 7:30 for regular session. Is there any other? Andy,
Yeah, would you like, Mayor,
at this point, I'm going to step down. You want to sit here?
Mayor, I guess I just want to update the council and the public on the affordable housing litigation and,
Please, I'm sorry.
yeah, no?
You were so quiet that I forgot you were there.
They put me in the end today, usually by Joe. In any event, so the township approved the settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing Center. And the process by law, which the township needs to follow, like all municipalities, is that settlement agreement is subject to approval by the court. In this regard, and in Howell's case, every town has one, but in Howell's case, there's a court master who's a planner who reviews the plan. She participated in settlement discussions with Judge O'Brien, and she will ultimately make a recommendation to the court. It's going to be Judge Perry ultimately, as to whether or not the settlement agreement should be approved. Her name, the master's name, is Elizabeth McKenzie. It so happened, and she was appointed by the court in 2015 when Howell filed its declaratory judgment action. It so happens that Ms. McKenzie is retiring due to personal family reasons, and as a result, the court scheduled a fairness hearing, which is the hearing where the settlement agreement is going to approve, for December 3rd, because that's the last week that Ms. McKenzie is going to be in New Jersey. She's retiring and leaving, going out of state. So the court, to keep Ms. McKenzie, to try to get the benefit of her participation in this process, scheduled the fairness hearing in probably what I would call record time, because others that I've done for other communities take months and months to get scheduled. This got scheduled like within 30 days. So we gave notice of the fairness hearing as required. The clerk advertised the notice, and and as well, my office sent around the notices to the service list. So we're scheduled, as we're sitting here today, for a fairness hearing on December 3rd. However, given that Howell had negotiated such favorable agreements with the developers, what I mean by that is that they had given us a 30% set aside on rentals when the standard is 15%. Given that, the court, in its order establishing the fairness hearing, ordered the township to consider approval of developer agreements with those developers, so to lock them in, so that they're going to stand by their promise to provide that 30% set aside. As Mr. Clark referenced before, my office has been in negotiations. We have 4 developers in the plan. We've been in negotiations over the last months there's a lot of detail in these agreements. Most of them are very close. They're not quite done. We're having one substantive issue with one of them, which has which is why we weren't sure whether or not the agreements were going to be on the agenda for today. The hope is that they were. Again, not to rush something through, but to comply with a court order which said that the council had to consider approval of these agreements before December 3rd. So we're still going to try to meet that goal. That's why Mr. Clark referenced that, the council may have a special meeting before December 3rd. I will report back to Brian, the manager, as well as Jim and Joe, on the finalization of these agreements. I'm hoping by tomorrow or early next week I have those done for your consideration. And then those agreements will again lock in the developer's obligation to provide the set aside that the township demanded. But I just want to finish the process, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out in the public about sort of what's going to happen. So the court will have a hearing in freehold, open to the world, where our planner from CME will testify as to the settlement and as to that the projects are realistic and developable and meet the standards of the Fair Housing Act. And so there'll be testimony, there'll be objections that would, I'm sure the developers that were not selected will file objections. They will make arguments. The court will hear from them, the court will hear from the master, and then she'll decide whether or not to approve it. Assuming the court approves the agreement, there's still a lengthy process ahead for the township. So we would get an order, if the court approves the agreement, we would get an order of preliminary compliance, meaning that the court found the settlements fair to low and moderate income households. We would get continued immunity from builder's remedy litigation so that none of these developers can sue us for trying to put in housing where the township doesn't want it. And then the township will have 4 to 6 months to consider approval of zoning ordinances, which will allow those developments to proceed that are in the plan, as well as there's going to be a town-wide affordable housing ordinance which is required, and the court will have to consider approval of we'll have to adopt a spending plan, which is how you spend your affordable housing trust money, and that's going to and the town's going to have 4 to 6 months after approval to consider all of that. And so this process is going to continue well into next year. And then after we get through that process, the court's going to have a final hearing to see what the township accomplished, and if it accomplished everything that's going to be in the court order arising out of the December hearing, then you will get a final judgment of compliance and repose, and that will protect the township from builder's remedy litigation through 2025. So and that hearing won't take place. I think the judge now is scheduling them in June of next year. And that was one from like a month ago. So you're probably looking at the summer of next year till we get a final judgment of compliance. But these developer agreements that were on your agenda are just a step in the process that is required by court order. So that's the summary of where we are.
Okay, any questions?
No, I'm just glad that we're able to set the record straight so that no one in the public should think anything secretive has happened or anything's being changed or immediately run through, or the miscommunication is detrimental to everybody, including the deals that we're trying to make to protect the town. So thank you, Andy, for trying to assist.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Councilwoman.
Deputy Mayor, we had one other topic that had to be discussed. It's the best practices checklist.
Yes.
That Lou has to present to you.
Take it away, Lou.
Sure. Governing body members, two were provided in your packet, the best practices inventory for 2018, and it is part of the process that is laid out to us by the state, needs to be discussed with the governing body at a said council meeting. This year's best practices inventory contained a total of 61 questions, which was an increase from the prior year. The inventory was split up into two categories, core competencies and additional best practices. Questions that were included in the inventory addressed a range of topics such as timely filing of statutory financial documents, shared services, use of township vehicles, LoSAP oversight, community development, and human resource management, to name a few. Of the 61 questions on the document, the township answered 35 questions as a yes response, 10 questions as a not applicable, and 4 questions as a perspective. 10 of the questions were answered with a no response. Based on the state's calculations, this gave the township a score of 49. This score that was achieved by the township's responses was successful to not have any portion of the township's final state aid payment withheld. So unless either of you have any questions, concerns, about the inventory. It will be published on the township website and available in the clerk's office for inspection.
Please, have that posted, and good job, man. It's always good that we're not going to lose any state aid because we're not doing best practice. So thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
With that, I see Jerry Barron. You want to?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jerry Barron, 37th in LOA in Howell. I know everybody wants to get out of here, but I don't know why, but 2 days ago, as you may know, the green team was recertified. We had 220 points. I brought the plaque with me to Atlantic City, and it was updated. So I'd just like to present this to council. Would you like me to give it to
Please.
Brian?
Please.
Hang it back over.
Nice work to the team, Jerry. I know that a lot of hours go into this, and it's appreciated.
Well, it was a team effort, council, all those people on my left there, and OEM, and DPW, police, fire, and I probably
The
forgot
whole
somebody.
world. Just say it was a world effort.
Well, it's a good team
Yeah.
effort. We got 220 points. We're good for another 3 years, and now we got to start getting new things going. But thank you, and thank you for your help again.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll close the public portion, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn?
And I'll second that.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes, get home safe, everyone.
Thank you.